Alexa, turn off. I always like to have me, yeah, we live. I always like to have me a little music before I start. But
Yes,
good
I
morning.
just turned mine off.
Yeah, yeah, you got to get that feel. You got to get that feel.
Yeah.
Good morning, y'all. It is July 26th. Can y'all believe this month? It is about to be Christmas before we know it. It is July
Christmas in
26th.
July.
Yeah, Christmas in July is over. It is July 26th. This is crazy. It is July 26th. And I tell you all every Saturday, I thank you all so much for tuning in now or catching the lab with your girl BrandiJ later on. And today I'm so excited. I cannot wait to introduce my guest. I always tell you, I always want to welcome you all. Thank you for taking your time out and hanging out and just learning something valuable that we all, I feel like I share things we can apply to our life at some point in life. But I always start off with a prayer, and then I'm going to give you your flowers. I always give my guests their flowers when I first start. So, Lord, we're just going to say, Lord, we just thank you. We thank you for another day. Lord, we just ask you to bless your daughter, to give your word something to bless people, that even going to bless her, to see how far she has come and where she is going. We ask you to continue to bless Lab and everyone that listens. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And
Amen.
it's Aliyah, right? Am I saying
Aliyah, yes.
Aliyah?
I always say it's like the singer, but with one A.
Okay, Aliyah. I always start my show off by giving people their flowers because a lot of times we always want to tell people things after they're gone or you never get a chance. But I just want to say, I just met this young lady. I just met you. And the day that we were there, I had our other girlfriend on last week. I met her at my goddaughter's birthday party. But even at the birthday party, you had just such a sweet spirit, and you were
Oh,
just
thank you.
so transparent just about your life to where I was like, oh my God, I got to have you on my podcast. I was like, you have so much to be a blessing. And even though I'm older than you, you're teaching me even just doing what you're doing, and they'll learn a lot about that. So I just want to tell you, thank you for saying yes. And thank you for continuing to say yes to your family. I think our society most definitely needs that now. So I just wanted to give you your flowers and give you your kudos.
Thank you. Like I've said before, I'm a little nervous, but
Have
I'm
to be.
excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to be nervous, girl. I told you we're gonna talk. Just like we talked that one day, and you was dropping gems, and I said, "Baby, I got to talk to this pumpkin." I said, "I said she is spitting knowledge at a young age." So yeah, no, you have nothing to be nervous about. So first of all, I want you to kind of tell the people who you are, where you're from, give a little bit backstory about your family and all of that.
Okay. Well, my name is Aliyah.
Mhm.
I am 30, knocking on 31 in a few months.
Okay.
Um, I am originally from North Carolina, but we live in Tennessee now. The
Okay.
military brought us here before we were in Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My husband and I have been married. It'll be 12 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in December we would celebrate our 12th year of marriage.
Okay.
Um, at first, it was a little hard
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't really have any examples. So I
Yeah.
kind of just went with the flow at first. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes that's not.
Right.
um, but yeah, I am the first one on my mother's side to be married, and I am the only one to stay married as far as my immediate family, my aunts, my cousins, my sisters, my brothers, my mother.
Yeah.
So I really take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, you
And
should.
I have two daughters of my own now and
Okay.
one son. My son is my youngest.
Okay.
And I try to really instill the things that I've learned and that I value in them, even at this early age. My oldest is
Mm-hmm.
12,
Mm-hmm.
about to be 13. So it's it's a lot that especially as young people, I got married straight as soon as I turned 18, straight out
Wow.
of high school.
Mhm.
Um, so that was nerve-wracking for me because I
Hmm.
often joke about it, but I kind of grew up in 3 months. I
Yeah.
got married, I graduated high school, and I had my first child
Oh,
all
wow.
within 3 months.
Wow.
And then 3 months after that, we moved to Alaska. So it was a lot of growing up that I had to learn very quickly.
That's a lot of transitions.
It is.
Quick. That's
Yes.
so now, okay, so you got married at 18. So when you got married, were you still living at home? So did you just move like right out, or were you already living it together at that time? Or
No. So
okay.
at in November, I got engaged and I turned 18.
Mm-hmm.
In December, my husband came back on leave. He was already in the military,
Okay.
and we got married.
Wow.
Which I was already pregnant at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Still in school. In
Mm-hmm.
January, I graduated early.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Um, and then in February, my first daughter was born.
Okay. Okay. And so you moved right from your mom or your parents or your mom right into being a wife.
Yes. So
Wow. And a
after we
mom.
had my daughter, I stayed with my mom for 2 or 3 more months, and
Mm-hmm.
then we all moved to Alaska.
Oh my
So I
God.
didn't even have my mom there. My daughter was still very
So,
young.
yes. How did you do? Girl, I wouldn't let me tell you, my daughter, girl, well, my son, he's 28. He just turned 28 last week. And my daughter's 23. And I'll have to say, oh my God, with my daughter, I really needed my village. I went through postpartum depression.
Yep.
And like the first year, my parents had to really, they really kept her for me, really her first year. So I couldn't imagine moving away. And I was in my 20s. So
Yeah.
if I was 18, moving away from home to a whole nother state that I don't know anything about with a husband and a baby.
It was hard. I did
Yeah.
go through postpartum.
Okay.
Um, I went to the emergency room to be induced with my first daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has opinions. Everybody's telling you, oh, you need to do this, breastfeed, bottle feed, X, Y,
Yeah.
and Z. And so many opinions. And I'm just trying to do the right thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so once I got my epidural, I kind
Mm-hmm.
of passed out from the contractions, the pain. I woke up to having an emergency C-section.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And the only people that was there was my mom, my mother-in-law, and my best friend at the time. And of course, we reached out to the army,
Okay.
and but they did not allow him to come home. He was 45 minutes away,
And they
and
didn't let him come home.
they did not allow him to come home. And that that sent me into a little bit of a dark place. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was at first. I didn't know what postpartum
Yeah.
depression was,
Yeah.
or what even to look for the signs.
Mm-hmm.
And then my doctor, she was just like, "You're depressed. We're gonna put you on this medicine." And
Right.
it just kind of went from there, which it did help, but
Mm-hmm.
it was still a lot that I was going through alone
Yeah.
because I was very thankful for my mom and my mother-in-law to have been there, but
Mm-hmm.
knowing that he was that close, it took a toll on me that he couldn't be there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then me being so young, it was just like
Oh, that should have been
it
traumatized.
was just like instant fear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? It was just so many questions going through my head.
Wow. So at 18, what did you feel like, or what did marriage look like to you at 18? Because, like you said, you didn't have a blueprint.
Yeah.
So you knew at 18, I want to be with this man for the rest of my life.
At 18, I knew I loved him.
Mm-hmm.
At
Mm-hmm.
18, I knew I wanted to break the generational curses. At
Yeah.
18, I wanted to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love my husband.
Mm-hmm.
But with a marriage, that is not the only thing that will carry a marriage on.
Come on.
And
Yes.
I didn't know that. I thought love was enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I learned that love wasn't enough. And I
Yeah.
also had to learn that coming from a single mother household,
Uh-huh.
marrying into his parents were married.
Okay.
Um, so we kind of came from a different background, that aspect. It was a
Hmm.
lot of clashing at first because I hear a lot of other people say it, but I used to often tell my husband, my mama said, my mama said, my mama said.
That's
And
one of my sister's favorite saying. My mama said, Mama said, Mama said.
yes, and going into a marriage, that's not how it should be.
Oh my God.
You have
Yes.
to live and you have to grow together and not based off of what you've learned from
Mhm.
other relationships
Oh
or
my
from what you've seen from other relationships. And
God.
I see my mom make a lot of mistakes.
Hmm.
She was a young single parent.
Okay.
Um, and I also watched how hard she worked for me and then my siblings in the future,
Mm-hmm.
that I knew that I was blessed to have my husband as a
Come on.
teammate, as a partner,
Yeah.
because I didn't want to do it alone. Nobody wants to do it alone. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that it wasn't just me fighting, it was him fighting when I didn't have the strength to fight, and vice versa. That was something that I learned that was needed in the marriage that wasn't attached to
Oh.
love per se.
Hmm. When I tell you, you are so wise beyond your age. It is so crazy because the things you're saying now, I'm just, and I come from a two-parent home. My parents they're married 57 years, but I still didn't start applying some of these principles that you're saying into my life now. Like I told you, I've been divorced and all of that. And so now I'm like, you know what, to get it right, I've got to do things different. I have to
Yeah.
learn what's important to him and not what mama said is important to a man, because everybody's different, because everybody comes from different backgrounds.
Yes.
So what's important to my daddy might not be important to who I'm with. So I
Hmm.
to learn that. So for you to understand that at 18 years old, you wanted a partner, you wanted, somebody to fight with when you didn't have that blueprint, that's really beautiful. It really is.
Yeah. I was young and dumb, made a lot of mistakes, but I feel like I grew a lot from
Mm-hmm,
those mistakes that allows me to apply into not only my everyday life, but my marriage,
mm-hmm,
my parenthood with my children.
mm-hmm,
It's just so much that goes into a relationship, not only a marriage, but
mm-hmm,
a friendship or a
mm-hmm.
relationship with your children or your own parents,
Yeah,
because it it was a lot for my mom, to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna take a step back and I'm gonna let you figure it out the way you need to figure it out,
yeah.
instead of trying to push her on narrative onto my marriage. And I
Mm-hmm,
think that
mm-hmm.
was very needed. My mom's support, even though she did not have what I am going, what I had at 18.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I knew she wanted it. And
Yeah.
I appreciated her support, even though it was something she didn't have at the time.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I love that. So, how did your family handle you saying, I'm getting married at 18?
Um,
Did that
well,
look?
I have a lot of family. My mom, she was a little sad, like I said, she was a young mom and she didn't want the same life for me. And
Of course. Hmm.
and it was just kind of hard to see that on her face.
Hmm.
Um, my stepdad was very supportive. My mom later on got married, but they are no longer together at the moment. But
Okay.
at the time, he was around and he's very supportive.
Okay.
My grandmothers on both my biological dad and my mother's side, they actually surprised me.
Hmm.
They're the older generation, and I really thought they were gonna lay it on me, which they did, but it was in a supportive way. They
Yeah.
were my grandma, she was not married on my mother's side. And I remember the one thing she told me was, to just do what I thought was right
Mhm.
and to follow my heart and to not listen to anybody else. My
Mhm.
grandma, rest her soul, she has passed now. But she was one of my biggest cheerleaders.
Okay.
Even though a lot of her examples were not ones that I followed, she was
Mhm.
supportive in allowing me to make the decisions I felt like was best for myself.
Mhm.
Um, and it was just, it was a lot to sit there and kind of, at 18, tell your family,
Yeah, I'm getting married.
kind of, yeah, I kind of did this thing. But
Yeah.
I did have some family members who was like, "Are you sure?
Mhm.
You sure about that?" Everybody, everybody had their own opinions. But I would say my mom and my grandma, they seen how bad that I was trying to not follow in the footsteps and how
Mhm.
defeated I felt when I found out I was pregnant.
Mhm.
That their love kind of uplifted me
Mhm.
to kind of have the courage to say, okay, this did happen to me, but it doesn't
Mhm.
have to turn out the way that everybody is thinking is going to turn out. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to follow the same path that my mother or my grandmother or anyone before me. I don't have to share that same path, even
Mhm.
though we opened that same door. Our doors
Yeah.
led to different paths.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Okay, so we got to hear about this amazing man. What made him the one you were willing to break the mold? You're like, you know what? We breaking generational curses together, brother. We doing this.
My husband is amazing.
Okay.
I tell everybody, like, if we could just skip the beginning years and got to the place where we are now,
Mm-hmm.
where we're mature in our marriage, we're mature in our love, and we know for the most part who ourselves are, who we are in ourselves, um, and that's easier for us to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
He is not only an amazing husband, he's the best father. Me
Oh.
growing up without my father really being in the picture, he
Mm-hmm.
was everything I wanted, even in the back of my mind, me knowing, okay, well, if we don't work out, at least that's one thing I didn't have to worry about is
Mm-hmm.
him, neglecting or not being there for our children. And
Okay.
that was one of the biggest things that struck with me.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing is that just him alone by himself, the person
Okay.
that he is, the man that he is, it's not only towards me, but how he treats people in general. And
Mm-hmm.
then how he listens and how I'm a very emotional person.
Okay.
And he listens and he takes on to that. And I understand that he's not perfect. And he understands that he's not perfect. But the fact that, like I stated earlier, my husband is a fighter.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I appreciate that the most because when I feel weak, when I feel like there's no more energy, when there's nothing more for me to kind of push towards, he's
Mm-hmm.
always re-sparking that fire and let me know that it is us and we are gonna, pull through. And it's just
Oh, I love it. Oh.
it's just a moment and it's just a phase.
Mm-hmm.
And even times where it probably would have been the right thing to walk away, he did it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that and the unconditional love that he has taught me and that I have
Mm-hmm.
felt from a man that I've never felt before. I just knew that was something that, especially in this day and age, that's not common. It's not
Uh-huh.
something that's just laying around, and I wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that I cherished that.
Mm. Well, I tell you, girl, you are giving me chills. I love it because I love when we as women and as men, I love when I talk to people and they speak highly of their mate because like I said, nobody's going to be perfect.
Yeah,
But when we're intentional, like I'll be honest, I've been a quitter. I've been one that's like, you know what, this is not this and I'm out of here.
yeah.
And that's something that going forward, I'm trying to avoid with every breath in my body.
And
I'm so
that's something I feel like it for me. It needed to be learned because
okay.
I was kind of the same way. I was the one that was like run and hide.
Uh-huh.
It's not working out. It's not looking how it's supposed to. Run and hide. And he always pulled me out of the dark. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's important for me, because everybody is looking for something different. What makes
Yeah.
me whole might not make you whole. What
Mhm.
makes my husband whole might not make, his friend whole. And so I feel like it's good for us to kind of lean into what our partners are,
Mhm.
and kind of take it from there.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because I admit I am a fine, I just do it myself and this ain't working out. There's the door type of person. I want to say I'm not like that now. I
Mhm.
was. And I
Yeah.
think
Mhm.
maybe that came from being in a single parent home. That my,
Yes.
my mom didn't have the room to, deal with nonsense. She
Yeah.
didn't have the room to tolerate things that she didn't need to tolerate. And I kind of took that, maybe not in the correct way, but it was just
Yes.
like, not working for me, let's move on to the next. And you can't go into a marriage like that.
Oh my God. And that's, I mean, if I'm transparent, that's where somebody says she is a woman of wisdom. God bless her and her entire family.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I try really really hard, because in my mind, when you change things, and you set that path, it only gets easier,
Mm.
because change can be good or bad. But if you're
Yes.
changing for the better, in my opinion, it makes things easier, because then
Mhm.
you don't have the anxiety, you don't have the stress, you're not depressed, and then you kind of know where you stand. It's not the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, everything you said makes 1000%. And I just like conversations like this are really needed. And it's important for now, and especially for our future. And,
Yeah.
your kids are being raised in a beautiful home with two parents and who've gotten to that place at a young age to understand we are different. We're going to, okay, I'm emotional. I'm a very emotional. I know I am. I can be very emotional. I'm always about my feelings, my feelings, my feelings, my feelings. But I know I need that type of person that can understand, like, okay, this is where she is. And
Yeah.
when I want to quit, you gotta say, no, we not doing this. Because if you say, well, I'm done, then I'm done. Oh, baby,
Well, we just done.
we just done. But then you really want to be with that person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
it's the thing that you're fighting. And it's the thing that in our male community, that sometimes the females kind of push down on the men, is that we have to continue to uplift them. We have to continue to allow them to be the men. We can't
Mm-hmm.
just say we want the man and then try to fill the man's shoes.
Yes, yes.
I had to allow my husband to say, this is my role. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to give him the respect to play
Mm-hmm.
that role, and
Mm-hmm.
give him the grace to know that he might not, do everything right. He might not make all the right decisions. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that I know his heart and I know his intentions and where it's coming from, it
Yes.
makes it easier as his wife to say, okay, to
Yeah.
follow his lead, to
Mm.
lean on him. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of women, especially around my age and my generation, we kind of lost sight of that.
Mm-hmm.
We want our man to be the man, but we don't want them to be the man.
Right. Yeah. We want them to be the man, but we want to be the man.
Yes.
But
And we both can't be the man.
we both can. And I think a lot of that for some women comes from being independent so long,
Yeah.
because you're blessed that you haven't been in a situation where you've been disappointed or you've been let down. And so then you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna make this happen. So I think when you're put in those situations, I think it's hard for a lot of women to lean, to trust until they really show up and let you know, hey, I got us. You're good. We can relax. Trust
Yes.
me. I have your best interest and my best interest at heart. And I think men, I think that might be their intentions. Let me say that. But I don't think they know how to express it in a soft way for us to understand it. It's kind of like, you should know I'm gonna do this. No, nigga, I don't.
Yeah, I need you to communicate, and that is the
Yes,
biggest thing. Is that
yes,
some men, um, you know, they don't want to earn that title. Yes,
yeah,
it's on your back, but you have to earn the stripes that go with it.
yeah.
And as a woman, a young woman, my husband has repeatedly showed me, you know, the stripes that he's earned. It's been kind of like a give or take. Like, okay, you want to act this way,
Mm-hmm.
there you go. And then it's like when the women or myself, you're like, that's not really what I wanted. You gotta kind of also get a man the space to find their confidence
Mm-hmm.
to be able to stand up to their woman and say, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna run this, I'm gonna do that, I'm the man, and I need you to support me and respect me. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a downfall on both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure.
Because as a woman, I always want to do strong. I always want to prove to not only myself, but to people surrounding me that I can do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something my husband didn't want to hear. He
Mm-hmm.
he knows I can do it on my own. Everybody knows I
Yes.
can do it on my own. My kids know I can do it on my own. I say it quite a lot. But as a man, you want your woman to be there knowing that they can do it on their own, but knowing that they are allowing you to
Yes.
take the reins. And I
Yes.
think that was a big thing for me and my husband, is
Mm-hmm.
especially coming from a single parent household and watching my mom, you know, having to be both parts and do it all by herself.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to kind of flip that switch off. And me being the oldest
Okay.
and a girl,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing my mom go through these steps, and me trying to, at a very young age, pick and dig and you know, decipher through, okay, what am I gonna take for me? What am
Mm-hmm.
I gonna learn from this? And I think once once the female and the male get on the same page, and then
Mm-hmm.
once you and your partner are on the same page past that, because like you said, you are emotional, I'm a very emotional person. I think that's a common thing to say about most women,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and men sometimes don't know how to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to understand us as we are. I am a woman, you are a man. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be most likely more emotional than you are. You're going to be a little bit more probably stern, or, you
Yes.
know, than I am. And then once we get past that, then we have to allow each other to not only be that woman or that man, but I have to allow my husband to be Marcus, and he has
Mm-hmm.
to allow me to be Aliyah, and then we grow from that.
Oh, that is so crazy. That was my next question. I was just about to ask you. So how did both of you all grow as individuals while being together? Do you see where you grew at in some places in your life?
Um, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy helped a lot.
Okay.
We are not ones to stray from therapy, you know.
I love it.
Anytime that I've come to him and say, babe, I think we should go talk to a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that he's expressed to me, maybe we should, you know, we've both always taken it serious, because we know that it's a lot of steps in going into a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think also those individual therapy sessions and
Yeah.
just time apart. Like I said, he was in the military. He
Mm-hmm.
deployed a lot. I was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with just me and the kids while he was gone. I think that separation also allowed us to kind of grow
Yeah.
individually, because it gave us time apart to say, who am I without this person beside me, especially us getting started so young.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that was a benefit from the military, because we knew who we were together for the most part. We were always
Mm-hmm.
together. But
Mm-hmm.
then the military gave us that opportunity to sit back and say, okay, who am I as this woman? Who am
Yeah.
I as the mom? Because he wasn't physically there. And
Mm-hmm.
then, you know, I believe the same for him. And then, you know, we go through individual things. He lost his father. He had to deal with that. I lost
Mm-hmm.
my grandmother, who was, really close to me. I had to deal with that. And then in the sense of losing someone that's really close to you, you kind of aren't the same person. You're kind of, in your shadows trying to figure it out. And so I think a lot of life lessons that we have personally gone through, a lot of individual things, his friends and my friends, and just having good supportive people that is
Mm-hmm.
rooting for your marriage. I think
Mm-hmm.
that made us individually better.
Yes.
And then when we brought it back together, it was just, we're not perfect, but
Right.
it was just a better understanding.
Well, what one thing you just said, somebody said you are dropping nuggets that we need to tie around our neck. But what you just said, having people rooting for your marriage is so important to have those, because when you have people that's like, well, okay, well, go ahead and leave. I'll do this or this or that. It's easier. Or
Yes.
you like, you know what? Yeah, I can do this by myself. So having those people that's like, I see value in your marriage, and I think you need to think twice about this. It's coming from a place of love, and it's most definitely important to have that type of village that's rooting. That is so beautiful that you all, even though, like you said, you had people, you're on your mom's side, nobody was married, nobody's still married now but they're still rooting for you all
Yes.
to have a successful marriage. That's
And
beautiful.
I think also, and speak for my family, for them to see that, see
Mm-hmm.
us, and to see how we are fighting to kind of break that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I think it brings them joy also to, it's
Yes.
easier to root for someone when you see and you believe in what they have going on. And I
Yes.
think, especially that's just married. We were dating for almost 2 years before we officially got married.
Okay.
Having that person just being around for so long and just seeing how supportive they are and how they always show up, not only for you, but for your family. My husband has been there for my mom and my siblings and my aunts and my cousins. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like for them, it was just like it just kind of made sense.
Okay.
It
Mm-hmm.
Why fight something that you see is going in a positive direction?
Right, most definitely, most definitely. No, I absolutely love it, and even when you was talking about the therapy, sometimes in our community we think it's like, man, I'm not going to talk to nobody, but it is so important, especially when I don't know, I know with my previous spouse, we very strong people. He's very opinionated and I'm very opinionated, and we could bump heads. And I know that therapy, was important. And I think, like, while we were married, we didn't, after we got divorced, we went to therapy.
Mhm.
But during the time, he's like, man, no, I'm not going to no therapist. But then afterwards we did go through that, and then after that I continued going on my own. So I think it's amazing that, he'll tell you, hey, babe, we need a therapist to, intervene on this conversation. And you're able to tell him, the same thing. What do you think your children do they know how amazing this is? Are they like around a lot of friends that have two parent homes? Are they like around friends that have single parent homes?
Um, so my children are not growing up the way I did. And
Mm-hmm.
that is not a bad thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not a negative thing either. It's not anything wrong with that, but my children are most of their friends are two parent households. They
Okay,
do
good.
have friends that are single parents,
Mm-hmm.
or that have been recently divorced. So they understand what that looks like. They know my mom, they know their grandparents, they know who is and who isn't in our family that are married. But I think to them at this age, they don't really they don't really see a big difference.
Okay.
They sometimes, my daughter, she'll tell me, oh, I feel bad because my friend says she don't have a dad or she doesn't see her dad, but I don't think it really has like instilled in them yet at the young age of like what that actually mean,
Yeah.
to some people, or what that actually looks
Mhm.
like to some people. I think they
Mhm.
are grateful, obviously, that they have two parents. Mommy say no, they gotta turn to daddy.
Yeah.
But also, speaking of, because my oldest, she's pre-10, getting into teenage age, she's almost 13. I really try to be a little more blunt and just open and honest with her.
Mhm.
I'm trying to kind of get her into what I think some qualities of a wife would be
Mhm.
like, and just qualities of her just becoming a woman and trying to
Mhm.
instill that in her, trying to answer any questions. We don't argue in front of our kids, but they have learned that when mommy and daddy are talking, we're usually talking about something serious. And I think, which is a positive thing, because she's seeing us practice good communication.
Mhm.
We've
Mhm.
also seen us scream and yell at each other, but we
Okay.
try, we try to get her to understand that we were just, that was emotions, and
Uh-huh.
that sometimes our emotions get the best of us, but for
Mhm.
the most part we try to be the example, especially examples that maybe we didn't have, of just communicating.
Mhm.
And even with my children, a lot of people, with the slick talk and the side eye and the comments, with the, oh, you let your daughter say that and you let your daughter feel this. My daughter is a human being, and she
Mhm.
has the right to feel the way she feels and her emotions.
Mhm.
And she's not yet mature in those emotions yet to understand maybe this is the right way or the wrong way to go
Mhm.
about it. And that's where we as parents step in and
Okay.
we try to coach her with that. My
Yeah.
daughter is entitled to her feelings.
Mhm.
And then, somebody will look in turn and say, my daughter will never be allowed to say something like that. Okay. And then that's when we grow up with problems.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
then we feel like we can't express ourselves. We feel like we can't say anything. I
Mhm.
like I've said so many times, I'm not perfect. I tell my daughter, if I make a mistake, calm yourself. Come
Uh-huh.
approach me and let's talk about it.
Mhm.
Because I'm not perfect and I don't want her to think that I am. Because
Mhm.
that's just false hope, that's false narrative. I don't
Yeah.
want her growing up thinking, my mom always acted this way and this is the way it's supposed to be. She was always calm, she was always this, and I'm not. And I
Yeah.
want her to see the real,
Yeah.
obviously age appropriate because she's still a child, but I want her to
Mhm.
see the realness that comes with being in a
Yeah.
relationship.
Mhm.
Even with just her friends, she fights with her friends, and we're trying to go through that because those are really our mother daughter, father son, mother son, father daughter. Those are really our first relationships that we build.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then we usually go into, the cousins, the grandparents, the friends
Mhm.
before we meet our partner, our spouse. And
Yeah.
we take all of that we have learned, that we have gone through, and a lot of times we apply it to that final, what we hope is our final relationship.
Wow.
And even though you didn't act all crazy with your last boyfriend, you were fighting with your sister every day. You're
Wow.
taking, you're taking a little piece of that into whatever your next relationship is. And so
Yeah.
I just try to get my children, especially my oldest, she's a young teen girl, to understand. And my husband, he's great at this. He's so much better at communication than I am. But we just try to get her to understand those are your feelings and that's great. But what do
Mhm.
we do from here?
Yeah. Oh my God. That you all probably need to write a book. Yeah.
My husband minds that dealing with Aliyah.
Yeah. You
But
all
I want to say this. I want to add this. I
uh,
want to give my husband his flowers because a
mhm.
lot of my growth has
Mhm.
stemmed from him. Has
Wow.
came from him not letting go, not giving up, and him constantly showing me that he is there.
Mhm.
And my emotions and him being patient with my emotions and helping me go through those and helping me mature in those. And just because I feel this way, that doesn't mean our marriage is over.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really want to, just make that very known that he is a very big part of a lot of the things that I say, a lot of the things that I do, and how I carry myself, because he's just great. He's just great.
I love, because I was about to ask you, what would you say the difference now in your marriage at 18 to 30? But you just said basically you almost said like the growth that he has helped you even see
Yes.
or become. So what would you say is different from 18 and 30 now in your marriage?
I would say um love is different.
Okay.
Because we have so many added layers under that love now.
Mm-hmm.
And communication,
Mm-hmm.
because I was, and probably still am, but I was, I harbor a lot of my feelings.
mm-hmm.
I was in a space growing up where I didn't feel like my feelings were valued, like they didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just him reassuring me
Yeah.
that they do
Mm-hmm.
plays a big part.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Our communication has gotten better. I think just because we have learned to communicate with each other, we have learned that I am not him and he is not me, and what makes me happy may be not is mm, one more time.
What makes you
What
happy
makes
may
me
not make you
happy?
happy. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, and and vice versa, and me being my love language is physical touch
Mm-hmm.
and words of affirmation, and I just pour it all on me, just
Uh-huh.
smother me. My
Uh-huh.
husband's not like that. He likes acts of service, and he's
Okay.
not real like the clingy type. He kiss on the forehead and he go and do his thing. Me, I'm like, sit me on your lap and let's have a good time. But I had to learn, and he also had to learn that we had to figure out what was our happy median, and sometimes it's okay to do things for the
Mm-hmm.
other person to make them happy, even though
Yeah.
it's not necessarily something that you want to do. And that was
Mm-hmm.
just a hard lesson for me, because I'm like,
Okay.
if you don't just automatically want to do it, I don't want it.
Right.
But I had to learn that it took a lot for him to do something for me so I can enjoy myself, so I can be happy, even though it wasn't necessarily something that
He
was,
wanted to do.
something that he would enjoy or he wanted to do. And I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of other couples may go through that of like, well, if you don't want to go on this date with me, then, we just won't go on a date. Or if you don't want to, cuddle with me, then we just won't cuddle. When in reality, we have to understand that that person is not us. And how can we meet in the middle?
Mm. Girl, you are so smart. You you I mean, you're just amazing. I for real, because it's like this, I think it's the disconnect. And like you said, I'm very I love surprising people. I love acts of service. I love That's how I show people, love or whatever. I always speak well to people. I know that's who I am. But so like you said, just say if their thing might be cuddling, or that's not something I just have to have. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I have to learn, like, okay, like you said, this is important to them. Or I really have to work on my communication. I know that's a thing that I need to work. And it's not words of affirmation, it's my communication. I know
Mhm.
sometimes my stuff can come off a little more rough and blunt when that's not really how I'm trying to relay it, but that's how it comes off.
Yeah.
So you have to, like I say, you have to find that happy medium in all the languages, in all of them, in the words, words of affirmation, the acts of service, the gifts, the color, all of that I know is important. But what you said, the happy medium, to where, yeah, because whenever you're doing something that you're really not comfortable with, but you know it's going to make them happy, you don't really know how hard it might be for that person to do if it's making them feel weird or uncomfortable,
And then you also have to look into that because, we go back to those lines under love that even though you might not feel it, but that is love. But
Mm-hmm.
now we have to figure out how I can feel that love, the love that you're trying to give me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I think it's important for us to kind of meet people where they are. Because my husband, he'll come up to me while I'm washing the dishes and he'll just give me a hug from the back, a kiss on the, cheek. And now I'm, a schoolgirl crush all day, like just that little.
Yeah.
Or, me, my husband, he likes acts of service. So I will go and clean out the garage for him because he works a lot in there. And he'll come home and that's just one less thing he has to worry about. Or just
Mm-hmm.
me doing the dishes because he's worked all day,
Mm-hmm.
I just started working when we moved to Tennessee. So I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And then even working here, it was never like full time, or I never worked more than like 6 or 7 months at a time. It was always like a help or like a leg up type of
Mm-hmm.
situation. And
Mm-hmm.
now that our kids are older and I'm getting back, more into the work field, working full time, that is another, thing that we're gonna have to put under our love station because we're about to go through something new, which is me working and him working and we still have our kids. And
Yeah.
normally, what we're used to is just him working and me being here with the kids, which
Okay.
I appreciate because so far, um, he's been there. He's been showing up. I call him and say, our daughter has this appointment. Can you take her? Or, we have to go to this meeting. Can you attend it? Because I have to work. Or, my son comes and he's like, I'm hungry, feed me. And my husband's like, oh, I got it. I go feed him. Just
Mm-hmm.
little things like that is letting me know that he does support me going back into the, into working, even
Okay.
though me being a stay-at-home mom was a very important part in our relationship and our marriage and for our children because growing up with a single mom, my mom couldn't always be there. And that
Mm-hmm.
was one thing I wanted to change. My mom couldn't be there, my dad wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew him being in the army, always traveling, that I wanted to be there for my kids as much as I could.
Okay.
And now that he's kind of showing that same love, that same respect, that same shared obligation because they are his children just as much they are mine. But I appreciate knowing that this is my role
Mm-hmm.
as their mom and being a stay-at-home mom, that he is willingly helping me out. Not saying that he should or shouldn't, but the fact that he wants to. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people also, they look at that as, well, you're the wife, you do everything in wife role. You're the husband, you do everything in the husband's role. When that's not life, that's
Mm-hmm.
not reality, and that's not anything that makes sense because life is constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
And what has been the constant in my relationship is him.
Okay.
Whether our situations are changing from this to that, whether we have to move from this state to that state, or whatever the case is, my constant has always been him. And I think that um that is one of the benefits of you know, not only having a husband, a marriage, but just having someone that equally just wants to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you can't fight a battle alone.
Right.
It has to be a two-way streak. And even in moments where I was unsure, he still fought. And yes, that's good. And sometimes in situations that might not be good, but it
Mm-hmm.
allowed me a moment to think and say, would anybody else do that for me?
Mhm. Mhm.
And, would my friend do that for me? All the things that he's
Yeah.
done for me over the years, or for our family, or for our children. Because just because it's not done to me directly, anything on behalf of our children is for me. Because
Yes.
that's something that I don't have to struggle with,
Right. Yeah.
So
So if it's a young girl watching who's scared to believe in love because she's never seen it last, kind of like your story, what would you say to her?
I would say, don't run from love. Learn from love. Don't run from love. Learn from
Mhm.
love. Learn
Mhm.
from all the loves. Learn from your mother's love, your father's love, your grandparents' love, and take all of that and apply it to the person that you're wanting to spend the rest of your life with.
Mhm.
Because we're going to wake up and our mothers and fathers are not going to be there. We're going to
Mhm.
wake up, our children are going to be grown and doing their own. So
Yeah.
just make sure that the person that you are choosing, you're gonna want to choose them over and over and over again. Because I'm not Aliyah, the girl that my husband married at 18. I'm
Mhm.
Aliyah, the woman that he's married to now. And
Yeah.
that does not look the same.
Right.
And just have grace, especially being young, because you're not gonna know all the answers. And especially if it's something new, which
Mhm.
is marriage, you're
Yeah.
not gonna know all the answers. You're gonna, it's just like when people say, oh, I wanna make sure I'm ready before I have kids. Are you really ever ready? Because you don't really know
Right.
what you're getting yourself into. You're
Yeah.
bringing a human into this world that's like no other human.
No other.
So I just kind of feel like it's kind of the same take on that. It's like you follow how you feel
Mhm.
and you allow those feelings to be reciprocated. And if
Mhm.
they're not, then, marriage is not for everybody and it does not work out for everybody. But I feel like if you go in with the correct intentions, with someone with the same intentions, and you both
Mhm.
understand that it is a fight, it is a struggle, it is a constant choose battle. I think being young doesn't really have anything to play with it. It's just the mindset.
The
If you
mindset.
are mentally ready to take on all those challenges that might come, because I've talked to women, excuse me, who stories are completely different in mine. They got married young and they've just been in a bliss their whole year, all their years.
Mhm.
But is that really the average? Is that really everybody's story? No.
Mhm.
But just because my story is my story and someone's story is similar, our stories are still different. We are
Yeah.
still choosing our individual persons. Our
Mhm.
individual persons are not the same. So I would say learn from love, don't run from love, because it's always a lesson.
Well, that is good. So then I want to ask you this before I told you that hour goes by really quick. You was like, I nervous. I said, girl, you're gonna talk like you was talking at the house. You don't have to worry about that. What's your advice to any couples who feel like they've lost their way but want to keep fighting? What would you say to them? What kind of encouraging words would you say to them?
Keep fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Keep
Mm-hmm.
fighting. Um, it's like war. One tactic might not work, try another one. One strategy might, you might say, oh, would this part from this strategy work? Okay, take it and run with that. It's all
Mm-hmm.
trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter who you're with, it's always going to be trial and error. You just need to find someone who understands that it's trial and error and that you guys are going to be on the same page about that. Because you're not going to be on, you come, oh, what's for dinner? Oh, I want tacos or I want chicken. You're never going to be on the same page, no matter how little or how big it is. But just
Yeah.
understanding the intentions.
Mm-hmm.
that that is really the big thing for me, because being in a space, not only a relationship, but a space where you don't feel comfortable and you don't know the intention,
Mm-hmm.
that also shuts people down. That have shut me down, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like, where do you go from there? So
Yeah.
always communication, be vocal,
Mm-hmm.
be understanding, but also kind of understand that As long as there is fight, there is fire.
Come on, girl. As long as there is fight, there's fire. Come on.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my God. I don't know if she's going to be able to come back in. I lost her some kind of way. I hope you have enjoyed Aliyah. I hope she can send a link to come back in. I hope you all have been blessed. Oh my God, at some points I had to hold my tears back because for her to be 30 and so wise is just simply amazing. And I wanted her to finish what she was saying. She said, as long as there is fight, there is fire. As long as there's, yes, I think that's what she said. Oh my God, I've just been so blessed. This when they say at church, my cup runneth over. My cup runneth over today. This was really another one that I was truly looking forward to doing it with this young lady. I knew she was going to do amazing. I knew she was going to be a blessing. So I hope she blessed you all. You all know next week is First Saturday with Inger Dunn. We're back at it again next Saturday with my sister. I cannot wait. August, we're going to be talking about relationships. We're diving into these relationships because, like she said, all the relationships in our life are so important. And that is something I hadn't even thought about it that way. But that's a nugget that I'm going to most definitely start focusing on for sure. So I tell y'all every week before I get out of here, I love you, but what's most importantly, God loves us. I cannot wait until next week with my sister Inger. But I tell you, make sure you love on your loved ones while you have time. I am just still messed up about Jamal. You know, I still call him Theo. Passing and we just never know. So I hope you all have been blessed. Make sure you like and share these with your women and your brothers. Share this episode. I very seldom ask you all to share, but I'm asking you personally. Oh, she's coming back. I'm asking you all personally to come back.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I was just in it, but okay. Do you have anything you want to? Well, first of all, you have anything you want to end with? And then after that, I want you to tell the people how they can follow you on social media. If you have anything you or the kids you have that we can support. And then we getting out of here. So you have any last nuggets? Because you did say where there's fight, there's fire.
Yes. To end on that, I would just say, you know, that old saying, follow your heart, but also follow your mind. Mm-hmm. Because the places where we lack in our heart, our mind fills those gaps. Mm-hmm. So play them, you know, use them together, use them wisely, and choose love. Mm-hmm. Choose love because love is a lot. Love is a big thing, and whether that is choosing yourself or someone else, choose love.
Choose love. Okay, so how can they follow you on social media? You have anything we can support? Anything going on?
Well, my Facebook is just my first and last name, Aliyah Cathey. My husband, Tennessee Clarksville, he is into detailing. So if you guys want to follow that, you can reach out to me and we can get that information started. But I am just a supportive wife and a loving mother, and I appreciate anyone who's listening. I hope I was able to help at least one person.
You helped. I told him, I said, I was at times I was holding back the tears. I was like, because you were just so wise, and everything you was just saying was just is much needed right now. So yes. I thank you.
And the few seconds where I got disconnected, since we're just being vulnerable and honest, I went and got a hug from my husband. So you know, sometimes you just need those hugs. And like I said before, you know, you follow your heart, but listen to your mind. They're gonna always be conflicting, but somewhere they're gonna meet in the middle. Mm-hmm. And you know, utilize them both.
Well, I thank you so much for taking time out on your Saturday to be here on the Labs. Now, if your husband's still at home, go get all the hugs and kisses you need. And I just thank you again. So have a great rest of the day, honey. And I'm gonna have to have you back because you did amazing. You did amazing. you need to do speaking engagements. You really
Oh
do.
my.
Yeah, that might be something you need to look into. You done really, really good. You
No,
did.
thank you. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And thank you to everyone who's listening. Like I said in the beginning, I was very nervous.
Yeah.
But talking to you is really easy. I relate
Thank
to a lot of things. And I think as women, that us just being supportive and talking to and being there for each other is
Mhm.
really big because the men do it. Why
Yeah.
can't we?
But I think the men might need. I was just talking to my girlfriend Alicia before we got on, and we was talking about relationships. She's married and everything, and we was just talking about how a lot of times with the women we feel more comfortable expressing and talking to, and we get that energy back because some men don't know how to handle our emotions, and
Yeah.
I think some of them are talking, but I'm thinking some of them are still not talking like we're talking. So I think everybody needs to talk, as long as you're talking to people that's rooting for
Yes.
what you got going on. If you're dealing with people that's negative, saying, man, leave her or leave him, forget that. No, you don't need that because it ain't nothing out in these streets. I'm happy that you've been married. As long as you have, stay married. Don't come out in
Thank
these
you.
streets. Don't do it. I'm trying to tell you. You have a great rest of the day. I will most
Thank
definitely
you.
touch, and I'll let you know when your episode is up on YouTube so you can share it because it most definitely needs to be shared. You done amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.